today is a hard live for me to do because this is my fifth time. I'm not exaggerating. I have done this 4 other times. I ended up deleting all 4 other videos. It's my fifth time trying to tell this story and go over it. And the reason I kept deleting those videos and the reason I kept redoing it is I was trying at the beginning of all of this to um, not tell the name and to redact for privacy and all that. And it just kept slipping up. And then I just kept redoing it because I'd slipped up. And so now I'm just at a point where I'm like, okay, fuck it. Something inside of me feels called, because the reason I wanted everything redacted was because the reason when I call out somebody and I name them, it's because I genuinely feel they are a threat to deaf community. And this person I considered a friend. And so I was trying to not see them that way and give them the benefit of the doubt, the chance to change, give myself time, give myself space to express how this is impacting me, but time to also um, see if things change, you know, and not label someone as a threat if I was trying to give them a chance to change, right? But every time I told this story, I would slip up. And now I'm thinking, like, redoing and redoing and redoing and redoing the live streams, I started getting upset because I'm like, why am I putting so much effort in to protect someone who didn't give a fuck about protecting me from discrimination or any other deaf person from discrimination? So typically when I name somebody regards to deaf discrimination, it's because I genuinely believe, based on the platform they have, that it is a threat to deaf community. And I feel he's not technically there now, but he could get there. And so I really want to get this out. Like, I'm struggling to focus. I'm struggling to sleep and think and with my mental health because of the way in which I was invalidated, which is why I like to process where I can feel valued in my own space. Um, so I'm just now at the point, this is the fifth time I've tried to do this live stream, and I'm at a point where I'm like, fuck it. There's no reason to not, I just don't feel the reason to put that effort into trying to protect someone's identity who went out of their way to harm me based on mine. And I say he went out of his way to do so because of the situation that happened. It was escalating and he was laughing as I was telling him how harmful what he was doing was and how it affected me. And then when I posted about it, and I did not name him, I only shared how what he did impacted me, and while what someone else who was involved in that conversation did impacted me too. I'm not going to name her yet because she hasn't said anything else to me since then, so I'm going to still give her a chance to grow. He has said some things which I will show you in writing, so that is the way in which I'm no longer protecting his identity by not redacting what I'm going to show you, which I had tried to redact before. And I also had turned off the comments for the live chat before because, okay, so the first 2 times three times, I think, yeah, the first 3 times I did this video, I think, definitely 2, maybe 3rd, I had turned the comments on, and I was actually talking with another person up in here, and I had my comments on, and then I was struggling to stay focused to where I was slipping up on the name or the relationships and stuff, and so I was like, oh, fuck. So I restarted because I didn't want to slip up. And then by the 4th time, I had turned off the live chat replay because I was like, okay, maybe if I'm not talking to someone else, I will do a better job of focusing because that's how my mind works. Like I do struggle with focusing if I'm trying to multitask. I do better if I can try and do one thing at a time. Um, and so yeah, I was thinking that, and then now I'm here. I'm like, well, I'm not. I'm gonna just do away with all of the reason I was struggling there and just go for telling what happened and why I'm impacted now. And yeah, and I forgot I was just duplicating, copying, and pasting to reuse the stream settings to go live, and then I just fucking did it without really paying attention. So I forgot to turn the chat back on. I wonder if I can do that now that I'm still live, if it'll let me change it. Oh no, it doesn't seem to let me do it. Oh wait, will it? Hold up. Ah, I think it is letting me do it. Okay, I just clicked to turn the chat on. Okay. I know no one's here this time. That's because I've gone live 5 times in a fucking row. The first few times people were here for that. Now I'm like, yeah, they're over that fucking shit. They were like, goddamn bitch, alright, we got it. We got the point. I don't know. But yeah, so fucking alright, I did turn the chat on. If anybody wants to join. So yeah, let me check. Okay. So fucking yeah. Alrighty, sorry about that. I'm a little out of it. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna run my intro. We're just gonna do the fucking thing. If you do put anything in the chat, it will be coming up on the screen right away. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna read what I said and let it stand on its own and try my best to add commentary after, because I feel like what I said is enough for people who are trying to listen to deaf voices on deaf issues to hear what I'm saying when I'm saying it, in my opinion. And if you have questions, if you don't understand something, feel free to ask what you don't understand, and I will use that question and give you a video response. There is so much about deaf issues. It's like, I don't know what people need to know for this to click to them. So I need them to tell me what they don't get, or otherwise I'm just going to be talking about deaf issues in a way that may not make sense to them, because it is all connected. But if you don't know the history, you won't know why or how. And I don't know what you do or don't know, but I know how you're treating me. I know how you treat other deaf if you're telling me about it and admitting to it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway. So I'm going to run my intro, and then we're just going to do this fucking bitch. I'm sorry I'm like this, but here we are. Okay. Hi, my name is Alexis, also known as Lexi or Deaf Child. I was born deaf, hard of hearing. I began doing business as Deaf Child 2013, marketing 2011, sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales. My Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Deafness runs in my family genetically. Speech is not fully accessible to me. Anyway, I'm here to bitch about whatever the fuck is on my mind. So here we go. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. Okay, so after the situation occurred, I basically publicly vented and journaled about it from what occurred from my perspective. And I did so without naming names because, again, I'm going into this like, I'm going to give myself time and space to process and vent on how this is impacting me and how this impacts the deaf community in order to, and I think this, the reason for this video and why I process publicly on these issues is because I feel it helps hearing people who want to actually not harm deaf people know what we go through and how to do better. And it helps deaf people who are processing their own shit articulate when we conversate about how we're all impacted. And that way, all deaf can better advocate for ourselves. So, yeah. Even if I disagree with it, I listen. I might be like fuck you and put you over there, but I do listen to all deaf perspectives on deaf issues. I just don't give a fuck about what hearing people have to say about deafness, because I live my life under a system in which I have to listen to, in which what you say about deafness is what goes and is the status quo. So I already see what life looks like when you try to help, and I'm good, thank you. I prefer deaf autonomy. I know it's really hard for hearing people to conceptualize deaf autonomy, but it exists. It's real. I believe in it, and so should you. Anyway, so I had said I'm sick of hearing discriminating against me. Just had two hearing people argue with me claiming it wasn't discrimination to mock deaf voices or sign language. Then they claimed they weren't discriminating against me as a deaf woman because they were only making fun of other deaf. I feel I don't belong in hearing spaces. If you're hearing, please learn to respect deaf when we tell you to stop discriminating against us. Don't argue with us. Fuck hearing people. And I tagged someone on here, and there's a couple people whose comments we see on here. None of these people are involved in this situation. Those are just people supporting. None of these people are involved. Anyway. And then I said, I understand for decolonizing, we all need to work on anti-discrimination and make mistakes. But if you double down on anti-deafness or argue with me about if something is discrimination against deaf, I am not a safe space for that, as you are not a safe space for me, Edit, or for any other deaf person. I also said, this dude was talking about ways he discriminated against a deaf person. As he said 3 things, I was telling him this was harmful shit, and getting gradually more and more upset, telling him this was not okay. He kept excusing it. He made fun of deaf voicing. He thought it was funny to only fingerspell to purposefully make communication more difficult. And he forced a deaf person to only write and wouldn't sign to them to not provide proper access intentionally. As he told me this, I told him I couldn't wait for him to go deaf. He's recently becoming deaf, but has lived his whole life as hearing and is gradually losing hearing, but at this point, I believe he may be becoming moderately hard of hearing. When I told him how traumatic this discrimination is for me and all deaf people, he started laughing. He laughed even harder when I told him it wasn't funny. Then he left the call due to another call. The chick in the call at this time then tried to convince me he wasn't discriminating, and that I was applying one situation to everything. I told her about that being hearsplaining, and she was then herself also discriminating by arguing with me about this. She told me she wasn't discriminating. I told her she has no lived experience on this, and I went off and left. I believe I'm done with both. My person overheard this and told me it sounded like they were cruel bullies. I expected better from these two, and I'm utterly disappointed and pissed and upset. Edited due to typos. Also editing. Post-edit. My person overheard the whole thing, as he was in the next room while I cooked for him. And before I left, she was also trying to tell me that me asking them to stop discriminating against me wasn't going to change them because I wasn't getting paid to advocate. Advocate, 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 advocate. I can't speak. Bitch, just because you don't value us, deaf, doesn't excuse or justify your discrimination. It's your choice to continue discriminating when you're informed what you're doing is that. You don't get to tell me that I'm not using the right words to get you to stop oppressing me. Fuck you. If you want me to be nice to you while you intentionally and willfully continue to triple down discriminating against me and all deaf while claiming you won't stop because deaf aren't nice enough, you're just a piece of shit. And why is it that I have to have thicker skin when taking your discrimination, but you throw a fucking temper tantrum when you get asked not to discriminate? Big difference between me having a trauma reaction to your discrimination versus you throwing a fit because I won't let you have your way discriminating against me like it's not a big deal. So yeah. And again, I want to reiterate, it's your choice to continue discriminating when you're informed what you're doing is that. And that is how we got here now. This person, Eric, was informed what he was doing was discrimination, and he continued to do just that. So then he left a comment on my post. He said, I wasn't going to say anything, but you took this totally out of context. And again, I didn't mention his name. He chose to comment on here. Okay? He chose to out himself. I did not out him. This other person, she hasn't doubled down on this again yet to me. Maybe she'll learn, maybe she won't. I won't engage with her spaces anymore. If she comes at me publicly, then I will out her publicly. You know what I'm saying? But he did come at me publicly, which is why we are here today. So he said, I wasn't going to say anything, but you took this totally out of context. I was talking my brother that is deaf, how we would argue growing up, and if he ticked me off, I'd fingerspell to him and pretend to not understand what he said to piss him off. This was not discrimination against the deaf. It is, by the way. This was two brothers intentionally antagonizing each other growing up. If you're hearing and he's deaf and you're using ways in which we are discriminated against based on our deafness, and we're using our deaf culture, and you're using our deafness and you're using our genocide against us to antagonize us, that is literally discrimination. By the way, like, you're admitting to discriminating while saying discriminating against deaf people, antagonizing deaf people based on deafness isn't discrimination, is what he's basically trying to say here. Make that make sense. You cannot to me. And then he said, and to take the point home, I'm tagging my deaf brother in this since you're claiming I discriminated against the deaf. And he tagged his brother. And then I said, and this all started because of, like I said before, and I quoted what I had said before. So here we go. This dude was talking about ways he discriminated against a deaf person. As he said 3 things, I was telling him this was harmful shit and getting gradually more and more upset, telling him this was not okay. He kept excusing it. 1, he made fun of deaf voicing. 2, he thought he was funny to only fingerspell to purposefully make communication more difficult. 3, he forced a deaf person to only write and wouldn't sign to them to not provide proper access intentionally, end quote. And then I said, that deaf person being your brother and me not outing you isn't taking your anti-deafness out of context. I was literally not identifying the people involved. That was what I was doing there. Then he said, you doubling down and gaslighting me is you continuing to discriminate against me as a deaf person and all deaf. And after I get through this, I will provide some where to go find resources on this. And then then I said, deaf are not your tokens. You're doubling down on and admitting you antagonized him based on deafness and our genocide when you say, quote, I was talking my brother that is deaf, how we would argue growing up, and if he ticked me off, is fingerspell him and pretend to not understand him to piss him off, end quote. That is discrimination against him and all deaf. You arguing with me as a deaf person that how I'm discriminated, because I've been discriminated against this way, by the way, how I'm discriminated, wait, I'm sorry, I went to the next one. Okay, my bad. Against myself isn't discrimination, is you discriminating. And you admit you did what I said you did. You just don't think it's discrimination because you're not impacted by deaf discrimination and you have no lived experience on deafness. He literally had just gotten diagnosed, so he hasn't actually had to like live life as a deaf person yet, experiencing deaf isolation, not having the accessibility, and having the struggles we face. He's gonna get there, but he's not there yet. And then I said, stop discriminating against me. Any pushback on this is discrimination. Just because you're ignorant doesn't excuse it. There's so much to explain about why it is discrimination that instead of just gaslighting me on your anti-deafness, you should just ask questions to educate yourself instead of continuing to discriminate. I'm offering free labor at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I normally charge for that. And I also said, and if your brother is one of those, it's not anti-deaf to use sign language access against deaf people, that's like a woman thinking the abortion ban isn't misogynistic. You're like a cis man telling me about my own period right now. And that is how I feel when hearing people or people who have lived their whole lives as hearing and they're talking from a context of being a hearing person discriminating against deaf speak over me on anti-deafness. That's exactly how I feel. You don't like. And then he was trying to video call me last night and I did not answer it. And then he said if I was anti-deaf, I wouldn't have learned sign language to talk to my brother. That is so fucked up. So many people who know sign language discriminate against deaf people and weaponize their knowledge of sign language and over access to us. Like, no. Like, that argument itself shows you're not on an anti-discrimination journey with anti-deafness. That alone, that's an anti-deaf argument right there. You know what I'm saying? Alexander Graham Bell knew sign language didn't stop him from fucking genociding us and committing eugenics against us. Alright? And he had a deaf mother and a deaf wife. He still fucking discriminated against deaf people, alright? And then I said, learning sign language and proximity to deaf people doesn't excuse nor negate anti-deafness. If you were anti-deaf, you wouldn't try to convince a deaf woman your discrimination against her wasn't real. You are anti-deaf. And then I also said, just because you're not aware of your discrimination or didn't mean to initially, doesn't mean it wasn't discrimination, but the way you continue to speak to me is definitely discrimination. I also said white people learn native languages doesn't mean they aren't anti-indigenous. And then he said if I was anti-deaf, I would have cast him off as someone who should be executed for having a disability like our dad did. And weaponizing deaf genocide against us, saying, well, I would have thought he should die too if I wasn't against deaf people. Tolerating a deaf person, being like, well, deaf people shouldn't die, doesn't mean you're not anti-deaf. That's like the bare minimum. And throwing that in my face when I experienced genocide as a deaf woman and you have not had that lived experience yet, you're acting like my own genocide is a reason that you know to agree with you as if you know more about that than me. You know how fucked up that is? And why the fuck are you exploiting another deaf person's trauma that's not yours to try and continue discriminating against a deaf person? That is tokenization. That is hearsplaining. That is discrimination. These are examples of what not to do in your anti-deaf journey, bitches. So, and I said, stop throwing out deaf trauma that's not yours as if it negates the discrimination you admitted to in your own words and continue to do in this comment thread. Stop using your proximity to deaf people to excuse discrimination. And then at 5 a.m., I had woken up, I couldn't fucking sleep, and I saw a notification on my phone, a push notification that I didn't screenshot, but I had said that he had commented again. And when I clicked it to go see it at 5 a.m. today, I'm repeating because of the captioner, he fucking, all the comments had been deleted. He had deleted it. So I don't know what he said after, but I believe either Facebook was glitching and sending me a notification late, or he said something else and deleted that too and I didn't see it. But this morning at 7:15 a.m., he sent me a message that said, I deleted my post because my brother said to delete it and he's not going to engage with you because he doesn't know you. And I don't want to argue. I like and respect you as a person, and I am sorry for being insensitive to you and the disabled. So there's a lot to address here. So the deaf community, this impacts deaf people specifically. This isn't necessarily something that is an all disability cultural issue. Now, all disabled people are impacted by deaf issues to the extent that deaf people are part of disabled. We're all in a community. And fucking I know that people with disabilities, sign language is very helpful to them. That's also an access tool to them. And I'm not denying that. However, I will say people with disabilities have other disabilities have their own struggles, own histories that are separate from deaf issues, deaf history. And sign language specifically particularly ties to two genocides and traumas: deaf genocide and indigenous genocide in quote unquote America. Okay? And so there are conversations in which all disability communities should be part of this conversation with a deaf community on sign language because of it being an access tool for them. However, when it comes to the ways in which sign language is used as a genocide against deaf people, that's a specific deaf issue because only deaf people cannot hear. It's our cultural language in which we rely on for access in the world. Without it, we do not know what is happening. You can still hear. You know what I'm saying? And there's just a lot more history in which it's the history of sign language development. It's an indigenous culture and a deaf cultural issue. Hearing people don't rely on that culture. And hearing people genocided us. So there's like a lot of nuance here where that's also a thing. And then so some deaf people do not identify as disabled at all because we do not see deafness as a disability beyond it being a social disability in which the society will not provide us access, but as long as we have sign language, we're fully capable of doing whatever the fuck we want. We just don't hear. We experience life in a different way. But would you call a bat disabled? No. A bat is deaf. Or is it blind? I forgot. Wait, hold on. Let's Google this. Are bats deaf? No, bats are not deaf. They have exceptional hearing. Dude, I don't know why the fuck I thought a bat was deaf. Why did I think a bat was deaf? A bat is blind. No, they have good eyesight. Why did I think a bat was blind? Wait, there's a captioner right here. Oh. Oh, bats have noise-canceling genes that may stop them from going deaf. Oh, okay. So, do bats have good eyesight or are bats blind? Oh, they are not blind. Okay, then why is there a conception that they are blind? I don't know why I thought it was deaf. What is deaf? Is there an animal that is deaf? Fish! Fish are deaf. Are fish deaf? No, fish are not deaf. Bro, fish are not deaf? Which animals are deaf? And dogs, cats, and other species can be deaf, but I guess there's no animal that just is deaf. Oh, except for snakes! Snakes are deaf. Oh, wait, this is in the smaller window. My bad. I can't see. Snakes are deaf, guys. Anyway, so a snake is deaf. Would we say a snake is disabled? Why did I think a bat was deaf? Anyway, my bad. My point is, deafness exists naturally in nature. Now, typically, I'm not trying to speak for his brother. No deaf community is a monolith. I believe, though, the reason he's not engaging is because, so in the deaf community, there is a general consensus. For the most part, most deaf people who've actually engaged in deaf spaces, we're going to come back to my Facebook in a second. So in most deaf people who have actually engaged in deaf community and deaf spaces and spend time in their deaf journey, my bad. I was thinking of deaf journey and community, and I like literally combined the words. I don't know what the fuck. And then I didn't say that right either. Okay, I can't speak. My brain is broken. I'm feeling mentally upset today. Just bear with me. You know what the fuck I mean, alright? You know what the fuck I mean. Anyway, so, yeah. Fucking, there's just a lot of layers there with that. I don't know how I feel about that. If I had just gotten an apology after the original phone call, or maybe, or whatever. If he hadn't spent hours doing that gaslighting thing, maybe I would be in a place where it wouldn't have. But those comments, I don't feel that was officially addressed. And oh my god, I was on a rant and I forgot to keep going. But I was saying I don't want to speak for his brother, but I believe like in deaf community we are not a monolith, and so some deaf people like if we've engaged in deaf spaces, we don't speak over other deaf. Like, if a deaf person feels a certain way on deaf issues, that's their deaf journey to feel that way. We may feel our own way in our own space, but we're not going to tell them not to feel that way. And you know what I mean? It's just a simple matter of you respect people in their fucking space, damn it. Or when they're like, simple as that, just fucking respect people. Um, some deaf people, when they feel strongly or if they want to defend someone they know, sometimes they'll just be like deaf. Every community has their pick me ass bitches. Every community has their pick me ass bitches. You know what I mean? Every community has their, like, when you people tokenize you, sometimes you don't know they're tokenizing you. You might get tokenized, but you're not a part of that. They're just being discriminatory with their tokenization, and you're like, bro, fuck you. You know what I mean? When you find out. But then other times there's people who like willfully allow themselves to be tokenized. You know what I'm saying? And they'll be the pick me ass bitches of the group. They'll be like, it's not discrimination. There will be those people. Um, and I think that those types of people in any community are harmful to that community because it normalizes and perpetuates stereotypes and discriminations against them. And then, yeah, typically you'll either have people who are like, okay, we're not a monolith, but I'm not going to speak over another deaf person, so I'm not engaging because if a deaf person feels like you discriminated against them, you made your bed, you lay in it, bitch. Fuck you. Like you don't drag me into your shit. You need to learn. That's kind of how a lot of deaf people will approach it with hearing people. Like we're not your referee, because we've got our own shit. Um, and for me, like with my siblings, like that's how I am. They know now. They know better than to tag me in something like that. And there would have to be something like really out of hand done for them to know it's okay to tag me in something like that. And they just fucking asked me the damn questions. They would have screenshot it to me and said, hey, am I right or they right? What am I doing wrong? Like, or, based on what happened, they'd just be like, did I fuck up or they fucking up? Basically, like, um, so yeah, like, you shouldn't be tagging any person of a marginalized community that you're not a part of to come defend you when someone's letting you know, hey, you're discriminating against the community. That's pretty inappropriate, in my opinion. Because we face discrimination. What we're asking for, if you're not discriminating against us, is to defend us when we're being discriminated against. We're not here to defend you for discriminating against us. What the fuck? No. No, no, no. You discriminate against us, you can deal with the consequences. That's how I feel. So, I'm not going out of my way to go tell anyone or share what the fuck happened, but I'm just not gonna stress or worry if I explode about it because this shit really impacts me. I haven't processed it yet. I don't know how I feel about him as a person. I know how I feel about the situation, and those are different things. Now, again, I discriminate in terms of like, I can't get gender right. I'm fucking up with the transphobia. So if someone says I'm transphobic, valid, right? So for me, when you're on an anti-discrimination journey, why don't you care to do better? If someone tells me I'm discriminating, I say thank you for letting me know. If sometimes when these conversations happen, Like if I'm already discussing a form of anti-deafness and someone lets me know, hey, this is another form of discrimination you're doing, I'm not going to change my mind about the thing I was discussing with the anti-deafness, but I'm going to know and try to do better on this other thing. But I'm still a fucked up person. Just because I'm sitting here talking about how I want to do better with human rights issues and talking about anti-discrimination and how these forms of discrimination impact me doesn't mean I'm this great person. I'm a fucked up human being who needs to work on myself, and I'm trying to do better. But this is just me processing it. This isn't, you know what I mean? And yeah. So next up, I want to just take a little walk around the block with some other posts kind of related to this concept of deafness. Um, but before I do that real quick, I just want to discuss what are the links in the description of this video. So in the description of this video, I have some links for those of you who are looking for more resources. You're labeling this as discrimination, but I don't understand it. And because of how mad you are at that guy, I'm afraid to ask you shit. I feel you. Um, I'm sorry. But fucking, like literally, if you just ask me a fucking question, like, if you get to a point where you're sea lioning and you don't know what that is, go Google it. If I think you're sea lioning, then I'm gonna eventually get to where I'm like, look, bitch, you know. But when people are genuinely asking me questions, if it is discrimination, I'm gonna say, look, that's discrimination. I don't mince words. I don't act like something's not discrimination if it's not. And you have to be willing. If you want me to educate you for free, you have to be willing to let me process this shit in real time and react. Otherwise, you can go pay me my consultation fee so I can afford a goddamn therapist when I'm fucked up after our session. If you want me to mask and be socially acceptable. And even then, I don't mince my words. The information is the same. I'll just try to do better on my emotional regulation if you pay me. But I won't change my words. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, so link in the description of this video. I've got a video in here about I don't trust Myrnian 83, misnomers, or Catherine Temp, and deaf no more than hearing about deafness. So in that video, I believe that's got about 100 sources linked in the description of that video. No, that's about 60 sources linked in the description of that video. And that goes over here explaining like all of the definitions, and you can go click through there for some sources and concepts if you want to look more into that. And it gives you some examples as well, and discusses how these examples tie into deaf issues. And it's kind of like another version of this story in some ways. But so Myrnian 83 is a sign language, someone who knows sign language but isn't necessarily fluent. She's actually pretty bad, in my opinion. But so she's someone who claims to be an interpreter, but I'm very surprised if she is an interpreter. She didn't know how to sign water. She signed water, wine. This is wine, this is water. She signed help wrong. I forgot what the fuck she did with help, but she was doing something wrong with that. And she also wasn't explaining how it was a directional verb. And that's because this happened almost a year ago, but that's linked in the description of the video. I explain it better in there. And then she wasn't explaining how, like, she was signing food with the motion 4 times. She wasn't explaining the difference between a verb and a noun, and between food and eat. And then she wasn't showing the correct usage. She was technically using the right hand shape and location, but she didn't technically do the right amount of movements for it to correctly be food. You know what I mean? Like, so she didn't fucking sign food right. But the biggest thing, most alarming thing, she was signing that the sign for Jewish was the sign for Israel. And then she had people stitching her and signing her fucked up things about Jewish people. And when I was telling them this is anti-Semitic, and I was trying to correct them that all these are wrong signs, this is wrong, this is bad, don't do this, the way she gaslit me, the way they both stood 10 toes down on that. Misnomers is one of the people stitching Bernie Ann 83 who doubled down on that shit, who was being anti-Semitic and anti-deaf. Like, they got me fucked up. And then Catherine Tempf wrote an article saying that deaf people need to be more grateful for hearing input and need to stop claiming that hearing people discriminate against them. She's a fucking hair person. She's a fuck you, bitch. Anyway, so go look at that video. And there's another video, research, diagnosis versus identity, deaf versus disabled, and ableism disguises pride. That one really goes into the deaf identity concept and a couple of discussions around examples of discrimination in that context as well. And in there, I have over 150 sources linked. And you can go get my research from there. Then, oh, you know what? I need to link another video in here. I'm going to do it after it ends. After, I just realized the video I wish I linked specifically in here is a crash course on ableist language. I'm going to go add that one when this live stream ends. I do have the playlist in here, though, from Deaf Awareness Month 2024, so we'll get there in a minute. But, okay, so there's another one here called Deaf People Are Overhearing Discriminating Against Us, and its own tone deaf talk. And this one is about deaf slurs and about how an example of the way hearing people have reacted to me when I try to ask them not to use deaf slurs on us. So you can compare the tone deaf talk and the Murnian 83, compare the comment sections with the way Eric spoke to me. That's why it's got to be like recognized, the perpetuation, the normalization. So Adam Thomas versus Mumi Starr, deaf discrimination. This is another one. So Adam Thomas claims to be a hearing interpreter. And you see, so these are examples where just because you are learning or know sign language does not fucking mean you're not discriminating against us. There are plenty of people who know sign language discriminate against us all the fucking time. That don't mean shit. Anyway, so Adam Thomas is a hearing person who claims to be an interpreter. He was trying to tell a deaf woman that deaf people couldn't interpret, and was, if I remember correctly, go check the live stream, and was arguing with a deaf woman on a deaf post where she was claiming where Mumi was talking about how she wants to be a deaf interpreter. She's deaf. And Autumn Thomas Hearing was saying that Autumn was a better interpreter and hearing people were better interpreters type shit. I was like, oh my fucking god, it was so ableist. Anyway, and so yeah, I also linked the Alexander Graham Bell live streams. The live streams I feel really are very important to me that I've done on Alexander Graham Bell. If you don't watch anything else of the Alexander Graham Bell series, it's just like if you watch just those live streams, I think you'll get a very good understanding of who Alexander Graham Bell was as a person. I have another one on hearing opinions versus deaf lived experiences where I talk about several examples of hearing people trying to speak over deaf people and me on deafness. And so that's just my playlist where I kind of, put these discussions in there. And so we can process on why I don't accept hearing opinions on deaf lived issues over deaf lived experiences on deaf issues. And then the Deaf Awareness Month 2024 playlist is where the crash course on ableist language is from. I'm going to link that in the description of the video. The Deaf Awareness Month 2024, for September, I did 30 live streams on deaf issues, including where to go learn sign language from, and other deaf people to go follow. So you don't have to listen to me if you don't like me on deaf issues. Go follow these other bitches. They're not bitches, but you know what I mean? And then I have my deaf history lesson. All of my deaf history lesson videos, 1 minute. I know a lot of people don't like me because I talk so fucking much. They're like, I hate your long form content, but it's how I process shit, bitch. Fuck you. So my deaf history lesson, there you go. And yeah, so then I also have some other playlists that are very relevant to me. If you want to narrow down on specific issues, you're going to get a lot of overlap on, and possibly I think more videos too than what's in this conversation. So for even more and to dive even further, or to just see it from a different angle here, we have the specific playlist broken down. So The live readings of both of the publications from Alexander Graham Bell are in here. One's called Memoir Upon the Formation of a Deaf Variety of the Human Race. And in this book, it was used for eugenics against deaf. It basically was, they were saying that deaf people were a great calamity to the world. And it was the start of the genocide against us. This is what Eric tried to throw in my fucking face, and I'm a fucking deaf person. I was fucking born deaf, bitch. I'm from a multi-generational deaf family. And then there's another one called Marriage, an Address to the Deaf, which is a publication from Alexander Graham Bell, where he was telling deaf people that he never discriminated against them in the memoir, that he never that he doesn't know why people thought that he didn't want deaf people to marry. He did say that in the memoir. And that it's not that he didn't think deaf people shouldn't marry, it's just that he didn't think deaf people should have kids. That's what he said in this speech. But believe me, I'm not discriminating. And then he said in here, but you guys are the good deaf people who know I'm not discriminating, right? Yeah. So that's why it's like when Eric is speaking to me, I'm literally over here like, what the hell? Alexander Graham Bell. Anyway, fucking. And then all of the videos I've ever done on Alexander Graham Bell, including some shorts, are in this one playlist. And then I've done not only the full live reading of the publication, I've done other videos that just mention it. And so if you want to see those, that's specifically listed there. We've got another playlist just on deaf law and deaf social progress and deaf history under disability law. I have another one that's more on my deaf history lesson, where it's typically between 1 and 10-minute videos mostly, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in there. But I also think that I've been adding live streams too, so never mind, those are longer. But if it's not a live stream, it's between 1 and 10 minutes. If it's a live stream, it's a bit longer. I can't remember if I put live streams in there or not. I think I did. I think I have been. Yeah, I think I put this one in there. Shit. Anyway, so but processing. It started out before I was doing live streams between 1 and 10 minutes. But yeah. And then I have two deafhood playlists. One is on my deaf journey and one is on representation, society, and business. There are some overlaps in there because in some videos I believe it reflects on both. It reflects on both my deaf journey and representation, society, and business, which this is one of those. And then there's also different videos in those playlists because some things I believe only apply to one or the other. For example, I did a video on my deaf family experience. That's my deaf family experience. So that's in my deaf journey, you know, versus I've also done one on how many deaf people there have been attorneys and things like that. And that's representation, society, and business, I believe, you know, things like that. I can't remember what I called it, but you know what I mean? So yeah, so those are the videos linked in the description of this video. That's where you find linked in most of my videos. And a lot of my videos, I link my sources. And you can go dive deep into there and you will get my thought process. So yeah. Now, next up, what I want to do before we wind down on everything, the last thing we're just going to do is I want to take you through some other posts on deaf issues and just kind of reflect on this. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, fucking, I'm going to, it auto-played. Can I mute this? Okay. Oh, I can right here. Okay, I'm gonna mute this because I don't want to get a copyright strike. Oh, I'm not even showing. Okay, so this is my friend Mumi Starr. So she shared a little video here, and it says, even me asking people, oh wait, sorry, I'm reading. It says, even me asking people if they don't want to learn ASL, get to the fucking point then. We can't sit there lip reading for hours as people tell a story. I'm trying to read the description. As people tell a story and input every single detail. You might as well take a wheelchair away from someone who can't walk and then tell them to walk. You're asking me to be hearing when I'm not. Letting everyone know now, if my disability doesn't matter and no change is made after I already gave a generous amount of time, how can everyone even say they care if they force you to do what hurts you? That's not caring, but only caring for yourself. I will not stand for the disrespect no more. So I'm telling everyone who communicates with me, if you don't plan on learning, now is the time to leave. Because I will. Period. I will not disrespect myself no more and stay in pain from lip reading. This is also part of health too. Like, people need to stop being selfish and realize realize the needs of others. How did I like this post? I could have sworn I commented on here. Maybe. Okay. No, I did. That's crazy. Facebook took my like away. I swear to God. I had liked this shit. I had like heart reacted and everything. Anyway. And so then the video says, okay, I want to discuss something. I noticed something. You're hearing people communicating with deaf people. Oh, I'm not showing the full video. My bad. Here we go. Hearing people get mad. Why? Especially with deaf people that can talk. Talking, I'm trying to lip read. Trying to read you. But you're mad when I say stop. I need to focus. I need to focus. I need to lip read. You know that deaf people only get maybe 40% of brain info from lip reading? That's it. I see hearing people talk fast and they continue. Okay? It's not working for me. Looking, squinting, slow down, please. Slow down. I can't be mad at me. It's not worth it for you to talk fast. Okay, whatever. Put that aside. But if you don't want to learn ASL, this is what you need to do first. Talk slowly. Let me understand by lip breathing. I'm legally blind. It's difficult to read and lip read. 2, you want a conversation with a lot of details. Stop. Simple. That's it. Simple conversations. With not a lot of details. No. Can't follow that. Everything is all over the place. I can't. You need to assess yourself for me. Not me assess myself for you. I hope you all learned something. So yeah, and this is from Mumi Starr. I'm going to link her socials and everything in the description of this video after. So Mumi is really amazing at spreading deaf awareness. So we all have different access needs. So these are hers, you know, that I was discussing there. And reading from her what she said. But yeah. And then she had said on here, I tag as many deaf people or involved as I can because only you guys would understand what lip reading does for us. It does nothing for us. And I said, yes, so tired of deaf people. Well, I was saying deaf people. I said, yes, so tired of people acting like I don't have hearing fatigue or like I know what the fuck they just told me. Then I feel so mentally unstable. I struggle with maintaining regular income, so spend so much time trying to work. I don't study sign the way I want, then go into a cycle of isolation. I just got more work in another interview though, so I'm hoping I get stable, then learn more sign because I'm frustrated at how little I know. as a deaf woman. Even though it's enough to communicate, it's not enough to fully, freely conversate, if that makes sense. Because I do know some sign, it's just not good. And then I said, because it's terrible sign, but deafies know enough to know what I mean, sometimes. I appreciate you and so grateful for all you do trying to educate others. You're amazing. And then there was some other conversation here. And I had shared this on my post saying, please watch this and check the comments. And so another post that Mumi had made, she shared a screenshot where it said, lip reading is a valuable skill for deaf individuals, but comes with significant limitations and challenges. While it can provide insights into conversations, it is not a fully reliable method of communication. Awareness and understanding of these limitations are essential for fostering better communication and inclusivity for the deaf community. And here's what is sad. This is what Mimi said. As a caption on here. She said, and here's what is sad that hearing fucking people doing. They taking people off the red carpet and translating their lips to what it seems like they are saying, when it's nothing what they are saying. They are taking celebrities' interview and putting it mute and voiceover to what it looks like they are saying. But yet if a deaf person asks for equal communication, we are told we are demanding, asking for too much. We are not appreciative for other things that's been done for us. We are selfish. I think that's the other way around. I don't have to be here. You see, you can laugh how you people can lip read celebrities wrong, but expect me and other deafies to do that for you, and then you start arguments because we miscommunicated. I'm putting my needs first. Call me whatever the fuck you want to call me. I'll be that. But I will have my needs met or I'm gone. Period. And I said what she said. And then where I had read you that screenshot, I had said about my hearing fatigue and struggling with my isolation as a deaf person based on not having access in society. Mumi replied to that saying, this comment proves many points I have. Even deaf people need ASL and it's a struggle when they don't know it. Language deprivation is real. So not only you can't hear English and use it like hearing people, you can't even effectively express yourself. Shaking my head. And she said, I have to share this comment. This is her caption, my bad. She said, I have to share this comment to another respected deaf woman I know. She's learning ASL, but she struggles even more than me because she's not fluent. ASL is a need, it's communications we need. Even though she knows English, she can't lip read without mental stress. She can't effectively express herself. It's how I feel being forced to type, lip read, and not use sign. But everyone dismissed my feelings. I'm told to focus on something else when this is the barrier of my life. Communication is a must. It's a must, and if people can't see that, then they don't deserve me. It's me that's not being respected, just like my friend here. And I said, yes. And people keep saying, well, you can read and speak, so it doesn't matter. But no, I don't have access, and I'm fucking tired, y'all. Like, I don't have patience. You can make mistakes with me, but if you double down, I don't have patience if I don't feel safe. Nope. I appreciate you. That's what I said to her. Oops. Oh, wait. What the fuck was that? That was funny. Hold on. And then this is another meme that Mumi had posted, and it says, that look hearing people give when they make promise. I promise that my name is so important. Oh my god. Okay. So yeah. And I had said, I reposted that saying Mumi Starr is one of the few people who make me feel understood with my communication struggles. And I'm going to link to her YouTube and her TikTok in the description of this video when I'm done. And another thing I posted after here, people don't believe me when I say I'm a twin. People don't believe me when I say my dad is mixed and so are we, and my dad is indigenous descent. People don't believe me when I say I am deaf. I know my life. I know the truth. The invalidation is exhausting. I don't do well with people who invalidate me. If I feel that from you, it's going to be a quick cutoff. And I show pictures of my twin and I, my mom and my dad and me and my twin, me with my hearing aids. My audiogram from 2018, I was 24 at the time of this. And at the bottom here, it says I have moderate to profound sensorineural deafness. And where it's also saying I do not have speech discrimination ability, and I have decreased speech understanding. This is my audiogram from 2005. I'm even more deaf now. Yay. So yeah. So that's my mindset within the context of all of this at this time. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to also show you guys those posts, just like where my head has been in terms of these types of conversations, reflecting on these social issues, how we got here, where it started, and why we're here now. I apologize that I am a bit all over the place because I do want to be able to provide like a better experience with trying to educate on this, but at the same time, I don't feel that, I feel that I'm enough as I am right now. Like that should not be devalued. I think all deaf people are enough and we should be heard as we are. So yeah. I think I'm just gonna let it sit here. I'm gonna reflect. Like normally at the end of my live streams, I do a conclusion and I recap everything that I talked about, but I don't feel like I've processed this fully to give you a good recap on it. Like if I try to recap it, I'm gonna just end up going through the whole fucking thing again, and it's like I don't know. Like, if y'all really want me to do that, I guess I could in a different stream, but I'm not going to now because then it would just be like
One eternity later.
So I don't know. I just like I'm just gonna let this sit where we are. Um, so yeah, I'm processing what I'm processing. I just don't feel in my heart I can put the energy into protecting an identity for someone who isn't caring of my identity. Um, I do believe he could possibly regret how he spoke to me when he realized his brother wasn't going to step in to defend him. Maybe that's where he started to see like, okay, if my own sibling isn't going to step in for me, maybe I'm doing something wrong here. Hopefully that's it. And if so, I appreciate you, sibling. But I mean, also, no, I shouldn't be saying that because let's leave him out of it. He shouldn't have been brought into it to begin with. He ain't got nothing to do with it. He's a neutral party. He ain't got nothing to do with this. That's what I'm saying, or whatever. I'm not trying to project anything onto him. I'm just processing all this shit. Okay, so hopefully that's not harmful. Um, and I'm hoping he understands where I'm coming from. And I'm hoping anybody that sees this does. Gaslighting me is a particular trigger of mine. Anyone who gaslights me, I don't have patience for that. So, if I process more of this, maybe I'll do other live streams where I talk about it, and I just link to this one for people to go get the full story. But I just feel exhausted now. I feel drained. I just feel like I'm struggling with my sense of community. Um, and I can't be in any space where that is the default setting on how you're gonna treat a deaf person. And that was the default setting. So I believe he has the possibility to do better. I also believe There's a possibility he might not be working on himself. I don't know him well enough to say what that is. And I'm not projecting either of those scenarios onto him. I'm just saying where I'm at, I can't be around someone who isn't at a certain level in their anti-discrimination journey. It's too harmful to me. I wouldn't expect anyone to try and stay around me if I was just harmful to them. Or I probably have been. I don't expect anyone to forgive me for any harm I've caused. If someone looks at me and say, oh, she's doing the work and trying, then great. Gold star, fucking cookie bitch. But that's not like oh, this one person doesn't think I'm bad, so now I can excuse them to use them as an excuse for any other person who's calling me out on harm I do. No. That, what? So, yeah, see, I'm spiraling. That's why I didn't try to do a recap. Alright, I'm actually going to end this thing now. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you. And, yeah, this is where we're out now. Hopefully, if in the future I feel this person has done the work to really show he's on an anti-discrimination journey, I really would love to do an update where I can say, look, I had this problem with this person before, but look at what he's doing now to show he's changed. I would like to be able to show that. If I process anything else how I feel, I'm not going to stop myself from expressing myself, on it. I might share that, but this is all I have to say right now. And I don't really plan on talking about anything else that I know about or that has happened or anything like that. I won't talk about anything else unless something new happens. You know what I mean? I will just be processing this situation. So yeah. That's a wrap. Thanks for joining me tonight. Please go look into this information. Please go follow Mumi Starr, and thank you for your time. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.